Someone watch that guy in the end there. All right, welcome to Screen to Team. I have this up on purpose because the name is so long, I always forget. From Screen to Team, when content creators make video games. Welcome. My name is Clara, and we have some beautiful esteemed guests on the panel today. We're going to go through them one by one because that is the only order that I have established on this panel. I am meeting two of them for the first time, and the other two I actually know. So please join me in welcoming them. 1 second, though, we're going to talk about what we're talking about today. So what's on the agenda?
That's a good one.
It's a nice shirt.
I'm proud of that one.
Yeah, and I will explain why this is on now in a little bit. But so first we're going to do introductions. Next, what are we talking about? End up with final thoughts. We're going to talk about what they're doing because all these guys are always busy. And then Q&A, about 10, 15 minutes, something like that. And then get out. Because every time I do a panel, we all stick around for too long, and then they daisy chain us all out. All right, so if you guys don't know who this fella is, we're going to get to him in a little bit. But there's a lot going on with nipples in this slide.
Yeah, there's a lot of nipple twisting in this PowerPoint.
I think this says more about the person who put the slides together.
It was 2 in the morning, okay? All right.
I can't tell if this is a face of pain or enjoyment.
It's the labor of love.
Correct.
It's a face of dominance.
All right.
All right, so I've just put up a bunch of facts from these folks, but I'm going to let them talk about themselves. Geoff, why don't you start?
Sure. My name is Geoff Ramsey, first bullet point, founder and executive producer of Achievement Hunter, one of original members of Rooster Teeth, I see. 16 and a half years ago, I started a company called Rooster Teeth with some dumb friends. I was a smart one, and we made a cartoon called Red vs. Blue, and that spiraled out of control and into a full-fledged production company that makes 2D, 3D animation, still does a lot of gameplay content, but also now makes video games as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We're going to talk a little bit about what you've been working on in that space in a little bit. And we're going to move on to Malika Lim Eubank.
Oh, hello. That's right, CEO at Hyper RPG, Hyper Rabbit Power Go. And I make video games, tabletop games, games for your car. People don't know that about that. I mentor some game dev students. They've been asking me to judge things because I'm very judgmental online lately.
Yep.
And, oh yeah, love Super Mario 64. And I have a dog named Kaiju Big Battle.
Oh.
We're plotting that for some reason, and I support this. Mr. Tyler Hutchison.
Hi, I'm Tyler. That's me, enjoying my morning coffee. I was the director and lead developer of Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator. Thank you. I currently work at Game Grumps as part of the game studio that we started with Dream Daddy. So I came on and kind of helped build that studio, and now we're making more games. In my free time, I like to paint and draw comics. So if you're into like weird indie comics, check me out. I used to do research in artificial intelligence and machine learning. That is not really important. My favorite games, though, right now are Into the Breach and Steven's Sausage Roll, and I have a tiny dog named Biscuit. So,
Aww. I love how I said, we're just going to throw up some notes. You talk about yourselves, and you're all just reading.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm so glad you're a writer, Tyler. All right, and last but not least, Mr. Tom McLaughlin.
My name's Sean. I didn't write anything about myself because I forgot.
Yep.
And I do not have a dog.
Why not?
I want one. I really want one. I didn't write a description about myself. I probably make YouTube videos about games, apparently. I probably got involved in some games at some point. Shocker. And I most likely have a beard.
Yep.
So those are things that you can learn about me here today.
And me. My name is Clara. I also stream on Twitch. I've been streaming for a few years, taking a quick little break. My moniker on there is Seriously Clara. I stream only indie games. I also am an influencer relations manager, so I connect people like Geoff with people like Mr. Jacksepticeye. So getting publishers and our clients in touch with content creators to help extend their reach. That is my actual day job. I am in Vancouver, BC, and I work in my pajamas every day. It's the dream. And I'm also the founder and director of the Twitch Vancouver meetups, where We have about 400, 500 people that show up every few months, developers, industry people, Twitch streamers, YouTubers, Facebook streamers. It's a great time. And my favorite game is Chrono Trigger. I don't know why any of you guys didn't say that. Losers. And I live with that man creature over there who's a full-time streamer, and I have 2 rabbits, Fenwick and Wish, who is a blind butthole.
Oh.
Okay, so what are we talking about today? Does anybody recognize that man? Yeah. It's Geoff. No, it's not. So we're going to talk about sharing insight in game design from the game developer and the content creator sides of things, understanding the challenges, and then also finding out what Sean actually does, because he didn't write a description for himself.
No. I'm really looking forward to figuring out what the hell I'm doing here.
All right. So easy question to start. Why did you originally start creating content, and what was your goal? And we can go in any direction. I'm not going to force you all to go and,
Don't look at me.
Sean, what did...
I only have a beard.
You're the mystery.
Well, I'll say for Rooster Teeth, we started creating content via a tool called not a tool, but a technique called machinima, which is kind of like taking a video game to digitally puppeteer, because it was a cheap and affordable way to be filmmakers.
Nice.
Really.
And you have a background in film production, of course.
I less so than the people I started the company with, but yes.
Nice. Malika?
I think what's cool about HyperRPG, in my opinion as the CEO, is that we create, I think a lot of people, they play games, they play them on Twitch, but how can people play the game while we're playing? So that's what we kind of revolve around, is creating what we call meta game experiences that that envelop the game that we're playing on stream.
Yes. It's actually a wonderful thing. They got chat to control a robot to remove a Jenga block from power remotely.
Yes. Twitch plays whatever. We did Twitch plays Jenga on our live stream. And yes, hundreds of people can work together to remove a single Jenga block.
But they can't finish Pokemon.
Nope.
It's too
Mr.
hard.
Tyler.
Well, I'm not a content creator.
You create games.
I did.
Content. Why did you
That's
start?
content.
Why did I start? Because I wanted to make video games. I was like 6 years old and played video games, and was like, I want to be a Ghostbuster. But if I can't do that, I'll make video games.
Yeah.
But I think it's been really cool coming in, working with content creators, like the Game Grumps, and finding ways to translate their kind of raw energy, sense of humor, and encapsulate that into a game, which is such a media that takes a long time to make. Versus, I think Dan and Aaron are just like so off the cuff, ready to go at all times. So it's interesting to take this very improvisational energy and then try to refine that into something that you spend a long time on, and just being like, well,
Yours is more interesting than mine, because I wanted to be a unicorn when I grew up, and then when I couldn't be that, I was like, accountant.
Oh, fun.
Mr. Sean.
So I think that's like what kind of attracted me. Oh, sorry.
You can answer for,
Yeah, you can keep going if you want. Why did I become a creator?
Okay, I, Sean, became a creator of making games because I was in Ireland, where I lived, and I wanted to do something fun. The options for careers in Ireland were limited to dairyman or clover counter.
They're called shamrockers.
Oh.
I was always fascinated by games growing up. Again, I played video games when I was younger, and I thought they were really cool. And I kind of wanted to get into making video games, but then I was too dumb to do that. And no, don't feel sorry. I was. It's truth fact. But I don't know. I was at a point in my life where I wasn't creatively fulfilled. I was aimless. I was jobless. I didn't know what else I was going to do. I wanted some sort of outlet to just do something with my life and find other people who shared the same interests that I did. So video games are a good outlet for that. I watched a lot of YouTubers play video games and make content. So I was like, I want to try that for myself. I want to learn how to edit. I want to learn how to like perform and do something like that. And it was cool to have like a little project done at the end of each day. And it kind of just spiraled out of control from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wait, YouTube existed before you started?
Yeah.
All right, so when did you all decide that you wanted to be in game development? Why? What projects were you involved in? Tyler,
Yes.
you're
Okay.
going first because you
Well,
love it.
A little history about me. I wanted to make video games, so I went to school for computer science,
What?
which doesn't actually get you a job in video games. So when I graduated, I had a job working at a software engineering company making law document search software and educational
That's so
record
sexy.
database software. It was really awesome and soul-crushing. And after a couple of years of that, I was like, I need to do anything to get out of this job. And I took a gamble, moved out to LA, and started trying to work in games. My first job was working for a media company where I made what I would define as shovelware. So like if a company has a big budget for advertising and they need to spend it, for instance, like Honey Nut Cheerios, they decide they need to make an iPhone game. They will just spend money on that, and then they'll make an iPhone game that no one wanted, no one asked for, and no one intentionally downloaded. So I made like a lot of those for a while, and then eventually I was able to.
How'd you get in touch with Game Grumps?
I basically started working with an indie game community called Glitch City in Los Angeles. Yeah, which is an awesome place. If you are an indie developer, I highly recommend seeking out other indie devs and kind of strengthen numbers. Even if you're not working on the same project, it's so nice to work with other people working in games, because you can help each other out. It is very lonely to work on
I was
games.
going to say, I always hear it's a lonely experience.
Yeah, it can
developing
be
games,
very
especially
solitary.
as an indie. Yeah.
So it's nice to just see people. And that's basically through the community of the indie game scene in Los Angeles. My friend Teddy Diefenbach, who was the developer on Hyperlight Drifter, was friends with someone at Game Grumps. They were looking for bids on a project, and they're like, oh, you should talk to Tyler. They brought me in, told me about their project. I wrote a little, like, here's how much I think it would cost to do and how many months it would take, and we went from there. So
10 months.
it was supposed to be 9.
That's still a pretty good cycle. You
I
got
messed
a
up.
game out of 10 months. There's some people who can't get one out in 9
Yeah.
years. So,
I was 1 month off. Messed up.
all right, we're gonna try to speed things up a little bit. Geoff, why?
I think for Rooster Teeth, it was a logical extension. We want to tell stories and create entertainment, and video games are a huge vehicle for us to do that with by playing video games. So it's also a little self-serving. We know what makes for the perfect kind of video game for our ensemble cast. So why not just make that game?
Yeah, no, exactly. Sean?
I mean, I don't make games.
Yes,
I
you
just
do.
play them and scream at them. But yeah, I've done some voice work for some games, and like that's my face in Oh Sir, the Hollywood Roast. So doing the types of videos that I do, luckily there's a huge audience that watch it. So I can yell at the alchemy lab guys and be like, hey, put me in your game. And 2 days later, they messaged me and were like, hey, do you want to voice a character in our game? And I was like, that fucking worked. So I've just been fascinated with games. I'm not tech savvy. I don't know how to like create games and code games like other people would be able to do, but I'm very heavily invested in the story of games and the characters of games and especially the voice acting side of it. So that's kind of my way of getting into it a small bit. I wanted to be in games somehow, and this was like my way of doing it.
Right. Can you give us a quick list of the games that you have been part of?
Oh God, Vacation Simulator. I'm the mountain shop vendor bot in that. I was Sean Flynn in Bendy and the Ink Machine. God, what else have I done? Oh, Monster Prom. Yeah, of course. The people from Monster Prom are right here. I got to be Calculester and feel the eel in that. So there's been a bunch of like little projects here and there, but some of the ones like Monster Prom and Vacation Simulator and Bendy and the Ink Machine have been some of the bigger ones where I went to them with the Vacation Simulator one, and I was like, I'd love to be like a guy who comes in and is like, can I have this? And then leave again. And then they sent me like a 4-page script to be like, no, you could be a whole character. I was like, oh, no. But super fun, and all the developers that I talk to and work with have just been super nice and really accommodating.
I do want to say on my end of things, I have worked with Sean in a couple of, getting him in games in the past, and he is wonderful to work with. No ego, just wants to be there to help indie devs. So just want to.
I paid her to say that.
Yeah. Not enough. Malika, just real quick, why indie games? What have you worked on?
So now that I'm like past level 30 in my life, this is my trajectory, right? When I realized that I love storytelling and I love power. So when I was like in middle school, I wanted to be a comic book artist, writer. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a filmmaker. And I was like, what's like films, but even 4th and 5th dimensional, 6th dimensional, is video games. So that's why my life, as I level up, that's the ladder that I'm climbing, telling stories and gaining power.
Awesome. So do you guys look at games differently, coming from a content creator background, a film background? How do you look at games? I'm just going to leave that out open to whoever wants to answer.
I think so, yeah. There's a couple of times it's hard to turn it off when like a new game's coming out, especially a bigger game. For me, it's like, do I record it or do I play it for myself or do I play it at all? And then some games like Kingdom Hearts 3 came out and I was really excited about it. And I was like, I'm going to wait and I'm going to stream this when it comes out. And then I was like, nah, maybe I won't stream it. And then a week passed and then I played it for like an hour and never went back to it again. And there's some games that I play that I'm sitting at home, I'm like, oh, I could have said this in a Let's Play and that would have been super funny. I should have recorded this. Or other games then that I end up recording that kind of go nowhere and I'm like, oh, probably should have just played this for myself. So I kind of like pick and choose which ones to do, but I definitely have a brain going, being like, okay, this is the joke I would have made if I was playing this in a video.
Hey, can I ask you a question, Sean, on that? Do you find at home that you play video games recreationally less than you used to because you do feel the need to record or to be on or to think like, oh, I should have saved that, or if I have this experience for the first time at home in my living room, I won't be able to recapture that on camera later?
Sometimes, yeah. It's more of a time management kind of thing, more so than like a lot of the friends that I have who play video games for YouTube and everything. They kind of just got burned out in them.
Yeah.
And they don't really play video games in their spare time anymore. But I still play a lot of games in my spare time and still really, really enjoy it. But it's just I barely have the time to play them anymore because I have to make videos.
Gotta take care of that beard, right? Takes about
Yeah, it's
6
a
hours
lot of
your
maintenance.
day regimen.
90% of my day is oiling this bad boy.
It's very shiny.
Thank you.
For those of you who have made games, how do you feel watching other people play your games?
Okay. Humble brag. Somebody tagged me in an Instagram video of Cardi B playing my game and squealing and having a good effing time, and I was like, I could die now. Level 30, I hit it. This is it. I was so happy. And for me, that's the most rewarding experience is I had a certain goal, and now I don't even have to ask people, oh, was that game, did that goal reach that game for you? Instead, I just look at their faces. And if they're smiling and I want to make people feel happy while they're playing this game, and I've accomplished that, that's what I live for.
That's awesome. Tyler, how do you feel when people play Dream Daddy?
I have mixed reactions. I think. Hold on. When I see someone really enjoying it, I think I get really shy and I will blush and be like, oh, they really like it. So I sometimes have a hard time actually watching full Let's Plays, but it is really rewarding to know people love it. And then I guess some people interact with Dream Daddy in different ways, and
Like how, Tyler?
well, Sean, when a player loves a video game very much,
Now I know why I'm here.
yep.
Put them next to
sometimes
each other on purpose.
sometimes they do adult things with each other. We're just adults. And
Like what, Tyler?
well, they might be pressing keys in certain combinations, sometimes fast, sometimes slow.
Ooh.
They might be caressing a trackpad in a certain way.
Who would do that?
This
What
is for
monster
you
would do
guys.
Yeah, you'll learn about it one day.
Okay, I hope so.
No, I think at some point I kind of try to stand back.
Yeah.
Just because Dream Daddy goes hard and deep sometimes in its fandom.
That should have been your tagline, Dream Daddy, hard and deep.
And go ahead.
But luckily, I don't think anyone who's like streaming or playing the game is doing that. I think it's more of after they've played the game and then they decide to make art about it. It kind of goes off the rails, which I am always impressed with.
Yes.
But I try to not look up Dream Daddy art for fear of like. Eventually, you just get surrounded with that, and then it like becomes the new normal.
You have to try real hard, like 2 in the morning. You're like, "Ugh, don't Google it.
You're just like, whoa, okay.
Can I ask when you guys were making Dream Daddy, because you had the little delay when it came out, and there was a lot of like backlash for that. Did that affect how you guys were making the game, or when it came out, did it change the perception of the game?
I don't think it did. I think when it was happening, I was so far removed from Twitter and social media, and like most of the team was just like so fully heads down.
Right.
And that I think like everyone was just like, oh, bummer, people are mad, but I don't have time for this. We have to finish the thing. And I think after the game came out, it just like didn't matter. Like people pretty quickly forgot. And my only thing on that is like, if you release a game that's broken, everyone will remember it's broken.
Yeah, true.
As opposed to if you delay a game and then release a game that works, people will eventually forget that.
I think
the
that was
game
a Miyamoto quote, like you release
Yeah,
a bad game, it's
100%.
bad forever. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to
and
do that.
Jeff, you just released a game, didn't you?
I think it's honestly kind of fascinating. Like circling back around to what you were talking about earlier, like my first inclination when I pick up a video game is if the game tells you to go left, to try to go right and see why they don't want you to go that way. And kind of break and play the game differently. So it's really neat and gratifying to watch other people do that to your idea or creative outlet. And not that I can take credit for the games that Rooster Teeth makes, but just to see like you create a small sandbox and then just to see what other people do with it is like endlessly fascinating, I think.
And then from that, thinking about game design now, what's changed over the years with respect to how it translates to content creation, what would you say is content creator friendly in terms of game design? Silence.
No.
I'm gonna do this. Yeah. I think taking into account the content creators' needs and their relationship with their community, creating digital tools that reward their community, their players, the people that they're playing with, easier matchmaking, rewarding their big supporters. That's a wonderful way to create games that are friendly for content creators.
That's great.
I mean, I think it kind of is the same rules for just creating a good game or a compelling movie, in that you want to create something that incites an emotion one way or the other, either positive or negative, or even if it's pure frustration, to get a reaction out of a content creator, because all of a sudden that is reactive and something to watch. I think Mario Maker is obviously great streaming content as a kind of screw you to the player, because you get to see all these amazing hellscape levels that someone has made just to ruin someone's day as they try to play. I also think having games like Skyrim or Minecraft that lend themselves to creating narratives without a narrative are probably some of the most enjoyable things to see. Like when watching Minecraft, you have some friends playing around and someone uncorks a block that just creates a lava flow and wipes everyone out, and all of a sudden like, whoa, look at all this like.
I have no idea what that's like.
Is your dog okay, Sean?
I have no idea what lava in Minecraft looks like.
I'm sure.
So a question for you, Sean, on the flip side of things. How do you pick the games that you play?
Yeah, it's interesting because YouTube's in a weird space right now where everything is like you have to think about ads more so now than you ever have. So there's like all the stuff like Happy Wheels, like years ago, used to be super popular, and that was the thing everyone played to get views. But now, in retrospect, like 60% of those episodes have all been demonetized because it's just not ad friendly. Any sort of violence, any sort of blood. But because it's super inconsistent, no one really wants to take a chance on anything. And I was talking about that in a video I made talking about how gaming has kind of changed on YouTube. The reason why Minecraft and Fortnite explode so much is not only because they're popular, because they're easy for creators to be like, okay, I'm going to do something. There's enough leeway to do like your sandbox thing in where you can just get in and do whatever you want. But you don't have to guess. You don't have to be like, well, YouTube like this. Will it push it to all my subscribers? Will it be ad friendly? You just upload the video and hope that people enjoy the content that's within it, but you don't have to second guess yourself to be like, will this get demonetized? Because I played Layers of Fear recently, and the first episode was fine. Second episode got demonetized for violence, even though there's no real violence in the game at all. So stuff like that, it kind of like hinders the creative process. And then there's other games then as well that are just story driven, like a Dream Daddy type of game where sometimes I feel a little bad that I'm uploading it because everyone sees the entire game and then they don't go and buy it for themselves, and then the developer sometimes gets harmed by that.
Well, we certainly didn't. We really appreciate that you played Dream Daddy. I think it probably helped a lot. Especially, I think a big thing that helped was that we had a character creator, so then people got to see you make a really handsome guy with some...
Hey, go back to that.
Oh, look at those beautiful eggy...
Look at those fried eggs.
But then, you know, like, I think people, even if it is a mostly linear narrative, people will still want to go experience it for themselves.
Yeah. But yeah, just I think the demonetization aspect of it is the biggest thing right now for people to just try and pick and choose what they want to play, because it's just so iffy that no one wants to gamble on it and then have a whole day's worth of work ruined.
Yeah. Oh, so Geoff, knowing that sort of information, and you know as a content creator yourself, does that affect the kind of games that you want to make and how to present it?
No, I don't think it affects the games we want to make, because at Rooster Teeth we make the kind of games we want to play, and I don't think that, and if we can make content out of that down the road, that's great, but I certainly don't think it leads that. But it is a very, you know, what makes a good video for your audience and what makes a successful video on YouTube are often, speaking to what Sean was saying, very different things now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's an impossible game to figure out.
So if there was, you know, puzzle platformers, for instance, those kinds of games are kind of a hard sell these days. Would that stop you at all from making, let's say you did have a great idea, narrative for a puzzle platformer, would you still make one, despite the fact that there's a risk that it won't be covered by content creators?
Yes. I think at the end of the day, good ideas win out. I mean, as long as you have the money to achieve that good idea.
Okay, fair enough. What are the challenges that y'all have working with content creators on games? Sean, don't listen.
I hate myself, so it's a struggle every day. That's a joke.
All right.
I will say, I don't know if there's any Game Grumps fans in the audience, or if... Okay, cool.
A few.
I'll just say that in order to program requires a lot of concentration and focus. And working out of the Game Grumps office, the biggest challenge is that you are constantly surrounded by two lovely gentlemen who are screaming.
You don't like Aaron coming in with a furry head being like, hey, Tyler!
No, I love it. Here's the thing. I love working there, and I think that's actually the biggest challenge is like, it is hard to focus when there is so much fun going on in a workplace.
Fun. I imagine.
No, it is fun. It's fun. I'm not in quotes. Just, you know, but sometimes you got to be like, guys, I can't do bits right now. I can't goof around. I need to just like.
I've never heard you say that before.
Oh yeah.
You're always down for a good bit.
I'm ready for a good bit, but sometimes you got to put the good bit in the good bit box and let it sit on the shelf.
Disgusting.
Geoff?
That's a great question. As a content creator, I don't know how to answer that. I think we're awesome to work with and super easy, and we never have demands or we're not babies. We always understand when someone tells us no.
Yeah, absolutely. No egos whatsoever.
None,
you know
not at
exactly
all.
where to go. You understand the development process and you respect it 100%
Correct.
every step of the way.
Yes.
Yeah. No, but really.
I'm probably not the best person to ask, honestly.
Okay.
I can't stand dealing with content creators, and I am one, so I can't imagine it's easy from the programming.
Yeah.
I hate us. We're the worst.
Malika.
I will say then I feel like I very much lucked out in working with the content creators that I work with because they are both so incredibly generous and giving, and I think they have such a good community understanding of play that it feels like you are on an improv team where everyone is just giving gifts to each other and kind of accepting, like it's a continual place for ideas. And yeah, Aaron is like the best boss. I don't like he's just really cool to go in and like be able to have fun and make great things that people like.
You should compare dad bodies.
I don't want to talk about that.
Malika.
Real quick, I think one of the challenges that I've seen on both sides, from the content creator side and the game developer side, is egos. Tyler and I just had a great conversation before this panel about improv. When everybody is yes and accepting those gifts, it's great. It's a blessing. It's a joy. When people are like, yeah, but, that's really tough. And so I just avoid those people. As somebody who's also a content creator, I'm like, you guys play Telltale games where like sometimes things happen to you and then she will remember this? That's me. That's me. I'm smart enough to not go on a rampage against somebody on Twitter, but I will remember these.
And then just from my side and my perspective, I have worked with a lot of content creators to be involved with games, with our clients, and I have seen the full gamut of egos. And same thing, I will remember, and I will not work with you again.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, that kind of talent requires money. We have to pay them to do these things, and we will remember if you're very challenging to work with. So again, I do not say it lightly. Sean has been amazing to work with. So yeah, just want to throw it out there.
Stop trying to get more money. Okay?
I got to do it for the $50. And all right, so what do you wish game developers knew about content creators? What do you think they always get wrong, since it's such a new realm of involving creators?
Go ahead, Sean.
What do they? I don't know. To me, it's like I don't like go into it thinking like they made this for me. They made this so I'll make a YouTube video out of it. I think like they were saying, like you make a good game first and then hope that it kind of aligns. There are ways that you can game it for a creator, but I've seen a lot of those games come out in Steam and they just flop immediately because it doesn't work like that. You still need a good game loop. You still need a good mechanic system. You still need a really good game to play first and foremost. So I don't know. What do they get wrong?
I get things wrong like every day.
For a creator?
Oh, no, as a developer.
Oh, just as a person.
Yeah, as a person, I'm like wrong side of bed every day.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've bumped up against, especially with narrative-driven games, is just, especially if you know creators are going to play it, everyone kind of hopes that a YouTuber is going to pick up your game these days, but is giving enough time for people to be able to talk. Because I play a lot of games, and then something like a Telltale game, they're just talking all the time. And they're so popular on YouTube, and something like Life is Strange, they're so popular, but they sometimes don't give you a moment. And then it feels a little bad that we're just kind of sitting here watching like an experience play out, because then it's like, is this fair use? Am I allowed to actually look at this if I'm not actually contributing anything to it? So you need enough space for the people to actually be able to give their own insight on it and talk about it and be able to like crack their own jokes. Like playing Man of Medan recently, and I have so many jokes floating in my head, but I feel so bad because they're talking all the time. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I have to interrupt and be all about me for a second. So I think like Oxenfree is another game that is wonderful, but they talk all the time.
And it's timed. You gotta like pay attention.
And they talk for ages, and then I'm like, yeah, what they said. And then you're sitting there for another 10 minutes waiting.
Yep. As a Twitch streamer myself, I have the
Too
same
much
problem. So,
talking.
Well, you're text-based, so I can take my time with you.
voice acting in games when you're streaming or whatever, that's pretty fun. You get to add your little personality to a little twist, but
Yeah, it's good improv fun
yeah.
as well to just kind of like bounce around jokes with yourself.
exactly. I think I just want to make sure that we have time for questions and answers. We're going to go to our final thoughts, and then we'll talk about what they're working on now, and then we'll open the mics for any questions. So best advice for content creators wanting to get involved with game development or creating their first game, or vice versa, if that's where you sit on the side of the fence. We'll start with Geoff.
Oh gosh, what an easy question to answer. Best advice for wanting to get into game development as a content creator, I guess would be to have a real passion for making video games. I don't think it's very easy, and it's a lot more labor and time and money intensive than you're going to think. So I guess don't go into it thinking it's going to be an easy, quick cash grab. Think about the kind of video game that you would want to make, that you would want to play, and work toward that passion. I guess that applies to anything in life.
Yeah, cool. Malika.
Content creators, start small and celebrate small victories. Twine is free. You can make your own interactive game in like an hour. That's incredible. Also, best advice for game developers, kind of echoing the last question. A lot of times marketers and publishers, they don't value a content creator's time. It's like, you can play our game for free and make a commercial for it and you'll get exposure. That's a huge insult. And then also, I think game developers need to learn that other people's fun isn't wrong. Like you were saying, people have all sorts of ways that you play your game, but like that's not wrong. And the more game developers can embrace that, the better for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think just in general, best advice for making games ever is, if you've never done it, start small. Find someone who's maybe done it before and have them build out, build as many prototypes as you can. Build early, build often, and just play test a lot. That's how you will know if something feels good.
It's interesting. No one mentioned to go to school. I'm not joking.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, well, if you are already a content creator, then presumably you're going to be looking for people. I guess I assumed outside of.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you could also just go to school and get a degree in making games. I think that's a totally valid thing. Though I think the most important thing in games is literally just make games. And there are so many tools that remove the barrier to entry now, whether it be Game Maker or Unity, which is a little trickier, or Twine or Ink or any, you can use all sorts of things to build new and interesting narratives.
Awesome. Sean, what advice do you have for working with content creators from a dev standpoint? How do you like to be approached?
Again, like you were saying earlier, like, don't work with the shitheads.
But how do you identify the shithead?
I think just kind of like be open to things. It's whenever you make a video on a game, I try to be honest about what the game is, but I try not to like shit on anything too much. But in a constructive way. Like if something is bad or something is not working, I'll offer a way that I think could be better. Not that it's right, but just to kind of like be open and actually have a dialogue and conversation and listen to each other and feel like, okay, this is what's not working for me as a person recording your game. But maybe that's your intention. Maybe you didn't want it recorded. I don't know, just dialogue and conversation and talking to each other and helping each other out, because I think you can make some really cool experiences then that way.
And I have the same challenges on my side, because clients are developers and publishers who will ask us, is this a streamable game? Is this a YouTubeable game? And we have to be honest about, like, well, this is a great game. It probably won't make good content.
Yeah.
So, there's that conversation, and coming from the content creator side, it's interesting that you also are open to being very honest about that.
Yeah.
We're going to skip the game project you want to work in the future, because we're running a little bit low on time. We're just going to talk about what you're working on now and what you're looking at in the future. Make it good.
Drugs, stocks, money. I mean, I'm just Minecraft. I mean, as long as I can just keep playing games and keep doing the stuff that I love, then I'm happy doing it. I've a bunch of projects that I'm trying to get done by the end of the year. I keep saying that I'm doing that, and I hate being vague about it, but I don't want to, like, I don't want to say, I talked about, like, doing a tour documentary, and that still isn't out yet, and everyone keeps asking me, where is it? So I've learned my lesson to not say what I'm doing just yet until I'm sure that it's actually going to happen. Tour documentary is still coming out, but I have some stuff down with some characters of mine that I'm hoping to do, like, full like narrative experiences with them. And I mean, I'd love to make a game at some point, but it's just not high on my priorities right now, mainly because I don't have a good idea. But more narrative-driven things are what I'm working on now.
Cool. Tyler.
Oh, yeah. This is a new game that Game Grumps is working on. It's called Starbucks Coffee. We've been working on it for the past year and a half and not announced it. This is top secret as of today. And no one knows about it on the internet. It's only in this room.
Cut
where
the cameras.
Which is also being streamed on the internet.
Oh, no! Well, yeah, so we're making a new game. This is the logo. This is the title. We'll have more info later, but that's it.
Great.
Yeah.
Secret information. What's up, Malika?
Whole slate of content at Hyper RPG. I wanted to highlight Kolok 1991 Bleach because it's our fastest growing show on our network on Twitch right now. And what is really awesome about it, it's inspired by small town Washington State. And the people in the town are NPCs created by the chat room. And then we actually hire improv actors to bring those NPC characters to life. And also these people in the chat room vote on the rumors and mysteries that come true in this town for our main players to explore. And I'm very excited. Tomorrow, Crank Gameplays is going to be one of those players at the table. And I hope you check it out on our Twitch channel at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
It's amazing. That sounds so fantastic. I love your shows. They're so high production.
Thank you.
I've been to their studio in Burbank or Hollywood or wherever it is your studio is, and it's just wonderful. Geoff.
Yeah, that's Vicious Circle. That's a game that we launched a few weeks ago. We called an uncooperative multiplayer shooter. It's kind of a take on Dead by Daylight or Evolved. It's an asymmetrical shooter, 4v1, but it's kind of the four are working together and against each other at the same time to take down the one. And just continuing to release maps and monsters and characters and game types and flesh out that world. We created a wholly new, this is the first video game we've created that's wholly new IP. We've made video games for our properties like Ruby in the past. But fleshing out that world and finding new ways to tell stories within the video game of that world, but also outside of the video game.
Can you tell me what the name of the chicken is?
Peggy Sue.
What? Sorry, what?
Peggy Sue.
Peggy Sue.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful chicken.
Thank you.
She's very voluptuous.
That's a sexy chick.
You'll know if you play the game. All right, so we're going to take some questions and answers. If you have any, please step up to the microphone. No yelling because it's a big room.
Oh, I just want to shout out, that's Kaiju Big Battle, the Shiba Inu in the front. My dog.
Aww. Oh, that's right. This is our RPG crew.
Yeah, I don't. Why isn't Kaiju up here?
He doesn't fit in the plane seat in front of me anymore, and so he would have to be in the cargo, and I don't think he would like that.
Aww.
Okay.
All right, first question. Go ahead.
All right. Hi, I'm Garth, or G-Man Plays Games on the various
Hell yeah,
platforms. Anyway,
G-Man.
hello. Hi. Anyway, so my question is, I have so many things I want to do and also need to do. Like, I have my day job as a CAD guy for a company that makes, like, boat stuff. And I am also a content creator, and I want to maybe get into making games at some point because I'm working on an Arc mod right now. Like, I taught myself Blender to do the modeling for that, and I also have like stories I want to write and all this other stuff that I want to do, but just how do you juggle having so many ambitions and wanting to do things? What would your advice be for that? Yeah.
So I don't know if this is good advice. This is just what I did. As soon as I decided to become CEO of Hyper RPG, I was like, okay, I got to ship a game. And then I was CEO for free for 2 months. And so it just took a lot of sacrifice, a lot of working till 3 a.m., and then waking up at 6 or 7. And I just tried to do as much as I can with the hours in the day that I had. It's not necessarily healthy. It's not a sustainable thing. But that's what I did to try to do as much as possible, and then also find really good allies and friends that I can hire and trust to take over the things that I want to put out into the world.
Yeah, do you mind me following up your question with a question?
Go for it.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
Do you have kids?
No.
You will never have more time in your life than you have right now. This is not a healthy answer. It's an honest answer, but she's right. You'll sleep when you're 40. Yeah.
I think one thing that helped me a lot when I was working a corporate day job that was not fun was I started waking up before I had to go to work, and I would dedicate an hour of time to doing, like, having coffee and then just, like, doing something personal, and putting all of my good work or good programming onto the thing I care about, and then I would go to my day job and be like, kind of already tired out and be like, well, I'm just gonna slog through this. So I save your good energy, put it into as the first part of your day. Like when you wake up, try to do the thing you're working on and then go do your day job. I think that's the thing that kept me sane.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because sometimes I don't find the energy to work on my other things because it's like, oh, I've been at work for 8 hours. I just want to do nothing.
Yeah.
So that actually makes sense.
Yeah, when I started off making YouTube videos, I was going to college full time. So I would go to college from like 8 a.m. till 5, 6 p.m. in the evening. And then I would come home and I'd record 2 videos and edit them and upload them and get them up overnight. So I was just working all the time. But I'd say I'm always a firm believer that there's no such thing as I don't have the time. It's more a case of I haven't made the time yet. I think everyone always has a slot that they can carve out. And like you said, like that's put your creative energy into that. Make sure that the hours that you can spend doing the things that you want to do are actually productive hours and not just sitting around going, okay, I'll procrastinate and I worked a little bit on it. Like make sure that you're really working towards it because then it'll really pay off after a while. And making sure that you have little goals set for yourself each day that, okay, I'll write such and such today for this game, or I'll record as much of this game for a video for today. And then you have something at the end of the day that you can look back and go, okay, I did something.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, and good luck.
Sorry, go ahead.
What? Oh, my turn?
Let's go with Hollow Knight.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I saw Hollow Knight, and I have to.
Okay, it might be a little hard to hear me because mask, but we're moving on.
What?
Okay, so my question is, if you could give your younger self advice about like going into the gaming industry, what would that be?
I didn't hear that.
If you could give your younger self advice going into the game industry.
Mask. I apologize. Okay, we're rolling again.
Take 2.
Take 2. We're feeling this time. Okay, so if you could give your younger self advice about going into the industry, what would that be?
You can do it.
Duly noted.
Yeah, I think that's really as simple as it can be.
I'd say just start making games and focus on actually making games sooner. I spent a lot of time just learning really in-depth things about programming, thinking that you needed to know a lot of programming to make games, and you don't. Like, you just need to know enough programming to get by. So this is like the worst advice from an academia standpoint. But you can also just put it out there and just like start making games. And if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. You know.
I'm actually 100% behind that. I work with a lot of indie devs, and itch.io is great.
Yeah.
Just get some stuff out there, get some experience, and then build on that.
Yeah, I'd say start, well, anything creative, start small and do the things that you know first and then learn as you go. But I'd say make stuff for yourself to make sure, because it's easy, like, especially in my field doing YouTube, everyone's like, oh, well, PewDiePie has 100 million subscribers. I can't do that. But as long as you're making stuff for yourself and comparing yourself to yourself and making progress and getting better at it and getting better at editing and getting a little faster, then it's easier to keep it going. If you keep comparing yourself to the people who have made games already or make videos or are successful, then you're going to get burnt out very quickly because you'll start thinking that you're not making enough progress fast enough. So just go day by day and take whatever you know and just like learn a little each and every day.
Awesome. Next question we'll take on the right side. We'll just
Hi
go back
there.
and forth.
My name's Melissa Rosé. Everyone calls me Rise on the internet, though, including Jack.
Yeah, she stood on my foot many times.
Sorry, you made me at VidCon, though. Anyway, so as somebody who's studying creative writing currently in college and has written everything from screenplays to a novel and several short stories and just play scripts in general, how would you classify a game script in that sense? Since I'm working on an outline for one and it's almost done, and I don't know how to necessarily approach writing that, and that works from a reading standpoint as well.
Google how to write a game design document.
Well, I think with writing game scripts, so much of it, if you're writing something that's a non-linear narrative, it really becomes about setup and payoffs of story arcs and finding ways that you can divert those things. I can't imagine writing a non-linear script without using either Inky, which is a program made by Inkle. They made a game called Around the World in 80 Days. Or Twine is also pretty good. I think I prefer Inky's formatting just because it's like really slick. And I feel like if you're just trying to do formatting, look into that. But also, it's okay to just write it as if it were a film script. I think most people reading things are gonna grok that language of knowing like where things are going and how shots are being set up.
Also, there's a growing amount of resources through the Writers Guild. So if you're already connected through that, they're representing more and more game writers as well.
Awesome. We probably have time for 2 more questions, but just keep in mind that I think they're probably hanging around for a little bit outside the studio or the theater, so you can try to grab them. But we'll take 1 or 2 questions. We'll go back to you.
All right, so my question specifically ties into content creators being featured in other forms of media. And my question is specifically targeted at Mr. Septiceye. And
Is that your last name?
so
It's just what my dad calls me.
So the brand Lego has recently released this minifigure, which is an obvious imitation of you, sporting your iconic green hair and gamer controller.
Yeah.
Now, are you cool with this, or can we expect a full lawsuit?
Yeah, I'm going to take down Lego. I mean, it's whatever. So many gamers have come out and have facial hair and dyed hair at this point. It's like, who cares? I mean, it's flattering in a way that they did it. I don't think they actually made it after me. I was just dicking around and made a joke about it. It is uncannily similar, but I mean, it's whatever. It doesn't change my life. It's not going to change theirs or anything either.
I would demand Legos.
Yeah, I do want one for free, for sure. And I want a lifetime supply of Lego for life. That's what a lifetime supply is, for life.
All right. Understandable. Have a nice day.
How many Legos are you up to a day? Are you like a 3-pack of Lego kind of guy, or?
Oh, I'm cracking open like 4 or 5.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's rough.
All right, we're going to go back to this side of the room.
Okay, so my question is for Jack. So on Friday, I could not get into your signing, so I was wondering if I could possibly get a picture either around now or after the panel. Is that possible?
You're going to have to take a picture from there, dude. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everybody smile.
Hang on.
You don't even have the camera ready.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
You're just...
Okay,
Oh my God, he's selfie. Turn it sideways.
It's gonna work.
This is great.
This is beautiful.
This is content. This is being streamed.
Okay. You have
That's like
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, back to that side.
Hello, sorry, I'm short. I just want to say thank you all for being here. It's a great panel. But my question is as all of you have had hundreds, thousands of hours with games, what kind of story kind of draws you to a game? Because there's so many things that have been done before and other games that copy from various sources. So what kind of story stands out to you?
For me, stories from underrepresented creators. I'm Browntown, okay? So we need to hear more of those stories. You're right, there are a lot of stories that are overdone, but not from people who are talking about their own indigenous culture, from their own unique perspective, queer stories, people with disability. I want to hear those stories, and I want to hear them now.
Yeah.
Geoff?
I would say anything with compelling characters that you identify with, or you want to learn more about them and their lives and their trials and tribulations and struggles, or the opposite, a video game that lets you make your own stories, like Minecraft and GTA sandboxes, where you can be purely creative and come up with your own narratives.
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't see the 5-minute card, so let's go with more.
Hi, my name's Cole. This is a question for Geoff.
Hey.
Big fan of everything you've done, and one question I've always thought of is, how do you feel when you had an Easter egg of yourself in the Halo games? You started making your content in Red vs. Blue, and your Halo 3 Easter eggs, your Halo 4 Easter eggs have always put a smile on everybody's faces.
I'll tell you how I felt when I didn't get one in Halo 5.
Don't worry, Halo
After
5 didn't do
Halo,
well.
I was in Halo PC, Halo 2, Halo ODST, Halo 3, Halo 4. No, it's super awesome, especially for a company like 343 and before them Bungie, who were so welcoming of allowing us to play in their IP and in their world and not just shut us the fuck down immediately. For them to also then include us in some small way in the video game is like, it was beyond kind. It's super humbling, yeah.
All right, I think that's it for questions right now. Once again, you can find these folks online to find out more information about what they do. There's probably links on there. So thank you so much to Geoff, Malika, Tyler, and Sean for being here. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great PAX.